All right, here we go with the coach Scott Sperone, the head coach at Fitchburg State, sitting in. This will be episode 1, but he's sitting in the relaxing recliner. Talking with Matt Kelly here, and the first thing I got for you is, I mean, we know each other. We've been pretty good friends, I think I'd say at least, for the past 3 years, and it is just about 2 o'clock here. I don't know if you've got a steady 2 o'clock coffee like our normal thing. Okay, a little cold brew action. All right.
That's
Uh,
homemade cold. That's homemade cold brew. That's a step up from Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay, so
Um,
how do you do the whole homemade cold brew action? What's the
so
process?
I just actually just brewed my next batch. So what you do is you take I go a cup and a half of coffee grounds. I put that in the like a lemonade pitcher, and then I put 6 cups of water with that. So it's whatever it is times 4, and you stir it up and put it in the refrigerator for 20 to 24 hours, and then you add the same amount of water. So it'll be 6 more cups of water after I strain it out. I strain it out through a coffee filter. First a loose strain through a regular strainer, then put it back into the pitcher, strain it out through the coffee filter, and then add the 6 cups of water. So it ends up being 1 part coffee and 8 parts water.
Okay, now what type of coffee? Do you have a special type that you use for that, or does it matter?
Right now, this last batch I made was a 1 cup of Kirkland, just
Okay,
regular medium roast, and then a half a cup of Dunkin' Donuts hazelnut cream.
okay, so it is like it's still a Dunkin' Donuts afternoon for you. What would be
Sometimes New England coffee.
what
You
would be
know,
like the best, I guess, coffee brand that you've brewed,
um,
in your
yeah,
opinion?
I like the New England coffee. We had recently we just did a chocolate cappuccino. Usually I don't go like all one or the other. We were down in Jersey Shore, I did half chocolate cappuccino and half hazelnut, trying to make like a Nutella coffee.
Ooh, how'd
Um,
that come out?
it was all right. It's all deadly.
It's all deadly. If you don't know Scott Sperone, that is his line. It's all deadly.
One of them.
Yeah, that's true. One. So it's been a little bit since we've obviously been around each other, in person and whatnot, as you accepted a new position as being with us at WPI, and whatnot. But how long to give you kind of your story, but how have you been an assistant coach? Where have you been and how long?
Well, I grew up in New Jersey and went to Springfield College. I thought initially I wanted to be a high school football coach, baseball coach, um, and be a physical education teacher. And when I was in college, I decided that I wanted to try to pursue the college coaching. After I graduated from Springfield, a lot of us at that time would go down to King's College for a 1 year internship with Rich Manello. And that would kind of create some separation between the guys that we played with and the guys that we would eventually coach. And most of us went back to Springfield for their graduate assistant program. I was a graduate assistant there for 2 years. I took a position coming out of that at Stonehill College. Then I moved on to Williams College as a wide receivers coach, Brown University for 2 years as a running backs coach, Merrimack College for 3 years, defensive coordinator, back down to New Jersey for 6 years at Fairleigh Dickinson University as defensive coordinator, and then 3 years at WPI as defensive coordinator. So that's 19 years of assistant coaching, 12 as a coordinator at 3 different levels.
Oof, that's a long time coming. So was being finally named a head coach everything you had wanted it to be?
Yeah, this is, they always say that there's not a class to prepare you to become a head coach. And I think that we're definitely putting that to the test this year with everything that's been going on. But it's been really exciting and enjoyable to have the reins of a program and kind of be the ultimate decision maker of everything that's going on. So I've really enjoyed that and really excited to get out on the field. And I know that it's going to be a little bit more delayed than what we had anticipated, but I feel we've got a great group of guys that were already there at Fitchburg State, and we've been able to really bring in a great recruiting class despite the conditions that we've been up against.
Awesome. So I'll kind of get into a little bit of more of like what you're doing with the kids there and stuff. But in general, what about Fitchburg that kind of caught your eye and wanted you to make that jump for being 19 years as a assistant coach, and their opportunity came about and to take it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that first jumps out at you when you tour around the athletic facilities is the weight room. That's something when we brought recruits up on the visits. When we got to the weight room, the phones whip out and they're starting to take selfies, and they're posting up a video on Snapchat. Because it's a really impressive facility. It's a little bit older than 2 years old. They've got the weight room area, and then we have an indoor turf. So that's something that will allow our student athletes to work on their sport year round, regardless of if there's snow on the ground. But even more importantly than that was our strength conditioning staff, led by Jim McGuire. I know that we were fortunate at WPI. We had Dan Ross, and he was outstanding with developing a strength conditioning program for our players. Not all Division III schools have that assistant coach with that background in their football program, and not all of them have a head strength conditioning coach. So with having Coach McGuire and obviously that outstanding facility, I know that that's one less thing that I have to worry about. I know that now if we're going to lift on 2 days a week during the season, that's 2 days a week that I can be focused on other things, academics and game planning, and making sure that people are doing okay in their personal life within our football program. When we get to add a season, now I don't have to worry about having an off-season program scheduled out. I know Coach McGuire is going to take care of that. I can hit the ground running with recruiting and really focus on the other aspects of the program, because I don't have to worry about the strength conditioning.
Well, that sounds like a great answer, to be honest with you. It sounds like you thought a lot about it, which obviously you would. So we'll kind of get into what was it like, I guess, the times you were able to be on campus before the stay-at-home order and all those things kind of happened.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. The first day, and you get your key and you go into your office, and I kind of have like a window that looks out across to the parking lot where I park, and there was a helmet, and the Fitchburg helmet is there. I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. So it was really exciting to get to be able to start up and then be able to get to meet the guys. Had a team meeting, and the numbers were low. I was kind of anticipating 30 or 40 people being in the program still, and the first meeting we had 22 players, and we kind of set the tone there with that meeting. And I think as players who had left the team that were still on campus, as they found out what I was about, what I was trying to build, they slowly started to trickle back. And now we probably have about 30 upperclassmen on the team right now. And then we added in the recruiting class, and we're up, probably around 104 players as of today.
Oh wow, I can't do that math that quick, but that's a lot of incoming guys.
Yeah. So we have initially, probably as we got to the middle of July, before they had made the announcement that we were canceling football, we had brought in a class of 71. We did have a couple people that have withdrawn since that announcement. We did have a couple people that are deferring their admission, but hopefully they'll still end up coming to us in the spring or next fall. But then we've also added 6 or 7 guys in the past couple weeks that have decided to deposit. So we've kind of counterbalanced everything, and we're probably up still over 70 incoming players.
And I mean, that's a huge number. How were you able to pull that off in not only a short time, but also in the pandemic time that we're in?
Yeah, I think the pandemic actually benefited our recruiting. So being a state school, historically a regional school, when I took over, and for that month I was on campus, I was focused on trying to reach out to schools in Massachusetts and Connecticut and Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Maine. I hired an offensive coordinator, Coach Quason Lewis, who was a head coach at Banning High School in California, and he was also the athletic director there, but wanted to make the transition to college. And he was recruiting a couple people from his high school, and they decided to come. And then he started to recruit other people in California, and they decided to come. and we said, all right, well, we're getting guys from California. Let's open this thing up. And we started to divide up other states. And I think with the inability of people being able to visit any school, um, us and what we did with our virtual visit and trying to present the school and our philosophies and having all the coaches in there talking so they got to know the coaching staff, we were able to bring in people from I think 18 different states. So we have New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Delaware, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Ohio, Illinois, Wyoming, Nevada, Texas. We've got like 10 guys coming from California as part of what I'm calling the California Gold Rush. And we got one from Alaska, and I think we just got one from Tennessee. So.
All right. So it's almost kind of more like ours, a national engineering school type of recruiting database, I guess, or
Yeah,
reach.
and what ended up happening is now we started to bring in people, and now other coaches, the softball coach, the women's lacrosse coach, they're recruiting California because they're like, okay, well, especially with specific majors like our nursing major, there's no Division III lacrosse, women's lacrosse in the state of California. So if there is a women's lacrosse player who wants to major in nursing and wants to continue her athletic career, Fitchburg State is a great option for her. Being close proximity to Boston and with the nursing program where when they go to take their test to get certified, they pass it the first time at a 95% clip. So other programs within our athletic department have now started to open up their recruiting to national level. Same thing with New Jersey. Our women's lacrosse coach is recruiting New Jersey now because, as I discovered, with the out-of-state scholarship that they gave this year at Fitchburg State, it was less expensive for someone from New Jersey to come up to Fitchburg State and live on campus than it would be to live on campus and go to a state school in New Jersey. So,
Oh, wow.
we are an affordable school, a quality education at an affordable price, and we will continue to recruit outside of New England, and obviously we will make most of our money per se recruiting Massachusetts and the surrounding states, but we definitely are going to be on the lookout from people who are out of region as well.
So you're kind of been giving me a little bit of the recruiting spiel in there, which is fine. But what would you say in talking about that? What's the difference between being at WPI and a high academic engineering type STEM-based school going to Fitchburg, which not anything bad about state schools, but obviously there's a stigma between the two type of schools academically.
Yeah, I think the obviously there's a little bit different requirements at Fitchburg than there is at WPI. So there is a broader pool that we can pull from. There's advantages to recruiting at both. At WPI, we could go up to somebody and say, hey, have you taken pre-calculus? And if they say, no, I haven't taken pre-calculus, we knew, okay, well, we can't recruit you then. It doesn't matter how good of a football player you are. And you're really focused on the academic piece first. Whereas at Fitchburg State, as long as the grades are of a certain standard, you have a little bit more leeway with who you can get in. We're also a test optional school, as I know WPI is as well. But that's something else that helped out, especially in the pandemic, where maybe people weren't able to take their SATs again or ACTs again in the spring, and maybe they didn't do that well the first time, as many people struggled the first time. That was something that benefited us also.
Okay. Appreciate the honesty with the answers there. What about going forward with the group that you have on campus or were on campus, and then the incoming people? What did you do to let them know you? I mean, you're new, not only new for them, but all of them. So.
Yeah, I just tried to maintain contact, and we tried to do a couple of team meetings during the spring when we were allowed to, and and then even now we're allowed to have team meetings just as long as we're not talking about football. So we've had a couple this summer, and we have another one scheduled next Tuesday. I'm usually tracking down somebody for something, whether it be to fill out a roster form or get their gear order in or whatever it may be. And I usually take that opportunity to also find out a little bit more about what's going on in their lives as I reach out to them.
And what have you told them about your lives? I mean, you're sitting there, or your life, not lives. Are you sitting there showing them YouTube videos, or what are you up to?
No, no, not too many YouTube videos that have come out so far. Yeah, I have started to drop my phrases. You know, anything is
Okay.
possible, and it's all deadly, and things like that. You know, that I guess I'm kind of known for.
Okay.
But you know, I'm just try to let them, you know, find out a little bit more about me if things come up in the course of conversation, and you know, telling them that I've been down in New Jersey the whole pandemic, that, you know, I'm engaged to be married. I was supposed to be married already. And that kind of got nixed because of the pandemic as well. So, you know, just
How
trying to let them in a little bit into my life.
how's that been in that process? I'm sure that, whoa, losing a headphone here, but I'm sure that wasn't a great process as well.
Yeah, you know, but it is what it is, and my fiance is very cautious with the pandemic as well. So um, she wouldn't have had an enjoyable experience getting married, having people around, worrying about hugging people and celebrating being indoors. So it's better off that things got pushed back than try to rush through it. We are going to actually be doing a ceremony to actually get married here
Okay.
on the 16th, and
Okay.
then we're going to be end up having our you know, our reception next spring.
Okay. So how are you gonna do the little ceremony?
Um, it's going to be in her church. We're going to get married in her church, and then it's just going to be immediate family pretty much that's there. And then we're going to head to her mom's place and have a little champagne toast and some cake and maybe a little bit of food in the
Okay.
backyard there, and have tables set up socially distant wise, and
Okay.
um, you know, just try to be as safe as possible, but also recognize that we're starting our lives together.
Awesome. Well, congratulations when that officially happens, and it's tough to deal with that, but looks like you two have figured it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's pretty much what I've learned during the pandemic is you just got to find the silver lining. So yeah, it stinks that I haven't been able to be in my office since March, but I have I probably have spent more time with my fiance uh, than I will until I end up retiring from coaching college football. Um, you know, it was unfortunate that we were unable to recruit and show people on campus, but that opened up the possibility of you know, recruiting nationally, and maybe, you know, showing somebody online what we're about, as opposed to making them come to campus. And just even with like the fall season, yeah, I feel awful. Especially we have a couple guys that uh, you know, going an extra one more semester and they're done. So you know, they're might not be able to play college football again. But um, we also, if we had shown up on campus in August, we would have had 3 weeks to teach 100 guys our offense, our defense, our special teams. Now we'll hopefully be able to, as we intend to practice in the fall, we'll be able to install with that whole group, and hopefully in the spring, if the NCAA allows, we'll be able to play a smaller schedule. So, you know, I'm always looking for those silver linings and those positives of what can easily be perceived as a negative situation. How are you going to take advantage of that situation, and how are you going to avoid making excuses and just find a way to get things done?
Sounds like a great mindset. I might have to adopt that. But I guess more personal too, as we kind of got in there with the fiance and wedding ceremony coming up. But what have you been up to when it comes to the being in New Jersey now and not being that close to campus, and having some more free time, I guess you'd say, on your hands?
Yeah, well, like I said, we've been very cautious. So usually it ends up being a morning walk around Morristown, New Jersey, which is where I've been based out of right now. Trying to avoid as many people as possible and throwing the mask on when we can't. Um, Coming back and then just working all day, um, you know, and then usually watching. We're big on Criminal Minds.
Okay.
I think we've watched about 9 seasons of Criminal Minds during the pandemic. We're
Okay.
on season 13, I think, 12, something like that. We've also started my fiance has got me watching Working Moms.
Okay.
So I'd say it's a little bit more geared towards the females than the males, but
What
uh,
goes on in that show?
it's just pretty much for moms that have jobs, and it kind of uh, it's not a documentary or anything like that.
Okay.
It's a show, and they kind of show their work life balance, and there's usually some humorous parts.
Okay. So it's like a satire kind of situation, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's anybody big name in it, or anybody I would know? I'm not a
I
big.
don't recognize anybody. I don't, the one girl, I haven't gotten confirmation on this. The one girl kind of looks like Claire Danes a little bit, but I don't know if it is actually Claire Danes.
Okay.
Um, but I don't really know anybody that's in there.
I got you. You didn't do. I mean, I'm pretty bad at this, but if like I'm watching a show, I'm like, oh, that looks like someone I know. I look it up on IMDb like immediately to kind of see who it is.
Yeah, it's only been a couple weeks here, so I haven't gotten to the IMDb stage yet, I guess.
I got you.
But
Probably. I don't know if I'm bursting any bubbles, but probably a little bit texting recruits or whatnot instead of paying full attention, maybe. But
oh yeah, yeah, we're still going with virtual recruiting. We kind of got to whatever end of July or so with the class of 2020, or and probably as we got into July, I started recruiting the class of 2021, and have done a bunch of virtual junior days, and had 4 this week. I'll probably do 4 next week, and um, yeah, just casting a net and generating a lot of interest, I believe, and it'll be really exciting to see what we can do with a full recruiting cycle instead of just kind of getting thrown in February and scrambling to get a class, even though it worked out really well.
yeah, I guess so. What would you say about like the? I know for me personally, I've been probably almost too productive at first when it was like you're working like all the time and didn't know how to shut it off. But what would you say, kind of how you've dealt with that?
Yeah, and with my fiance is home as well. So with her job, she's saying, it's a little bit more likely that she is working beyond the normal working hours, um, because she's also not commuting in and out to New York City. So I think that there may not be a set time to stop working because you're kind of going through the whole day. So I think it is important that you kind of take time, make sure that you're eating and making sure that you're getting some physical activity and being healthy, and staying mentally right, and making sure that you're talking to your friends and your family. Um, so yeah, sometimes it is tough to turn it off, and there's been times where she'll go into the bedroom. I'll be like, yeah, I'll be in there in a little bit, and all of a sudden it's 2 hours later, and I'm still emailing or Twitter messaging or whatever is going on. Just trying to get more done, because it's not going to go away. As you know, with the football coach, we're always working pretty hard. It's just
Sure.
whether it's a game plan or recruiting or off season uh, professional development. It's all things that we have to take care of. So I
Yeah.
think it's important to kind of make sure that you're doing things like taking a walk in the morning.
Yeah, I got you. I know for myself, like I had a little morning routine I kind of set up to make sure I did that before just jumping right on the computer. As I'm in a little 1 bedroom apartment, it takes me 2 seconds to get out of bed and get on the computer and whatnot. So that's what I know. So I'm with you on the routine kind of basis
Yeah,
there. Then.
very very short commute here. Very
Yeah,
short commute.
I bet you. What is it, like 2.8 seconds or something like that?
Yeah, something like that. However long it takes you to open up the computer screen.
Yeah, too funny. Now you got the cold brew there that you brew. You've been how's the eating diet or whatnot? How you've been cooking? I know you like to be a
So,
foodie, so
oh yeah, and I enjoy the food scene in Worcester, and I enjoyed my role on staff of being able to tell all the recruits' parents where they should go out to eat based off of what they wanted. And I know that our coaching staff, we enjoyed our wing night Mondays and our taco Tuesdays and our burger Thursdays. Um, and and then when I moved up to Fitchburg, I wasn't playing basketball 3 times a week like we were at WPI, and
yeah.
the waistline got a little bit tight there. I was probably tipping the scales around 245 or so. even after kind of going down the shore last week and doing a little bit of work from home from there, and maybe eating out, ordering out, and bringing the food back, and maybe enjoying a couple of beverages. I still have lost about 30 pounds, over 30 pounds. So
Good for you.
I think when I initially got measured for my tux, I was like a 48 jacket and a 39 waist or something like that.
Okay.
And I'm down to a 44 jacket and a like 34 waist or something.
Wow.
Yeah,
Good for you.
yeah, I really slimmed out. So
I can add on to that without your food influence there with all those nights that we would take advantage. I've lost 20 pounds too. So I
yeah,
appreciate your no more diet influence on me. But
right. But we got to watch out because I'm going to be coming back up to Worcester here as we're
oh, geez.
so we got to make sure that maybe we limit to once a week instead of 3 nights a week.
Yeah, that might be able to pull that off. Now, saying that, what's the one spot in Worcester you miss right now when it comes to, I'm going to say food, but when it could be anything?
Food. Uh, I mean,
Putting you on a spot.
like I said, I just enjoyed the variety. Like each, wing night was pretty consistent, and then the burger night was pretty consistent. Taco Tuesday was happening at like 4 or 5 different places. So,
Okay.
you had your different places that you could go, whether it was Mezcal or Brew City or Park Ave, Mexcali,
Yeah.
and I think I'm forgetting one
You're
too.
forgetting Bucks, right? That's one of your favorites.
Bucks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What about non-eatery? What about to be hydrated, I guess, a watering hole?
Oh, that my favorite uh, bar in Worcester is the Pint,
Yeah.
where you and I would many nights dominate the shuffleboard table and enjoy some tasty beverages. So
Yeah.
uh, I do miss the Pint, and I miss John and that whole crew up there. I'm looking forward to getting up and seeing them.
So they
And
did, for the record, they did just like open up for outdoor dining. And if anybody's listening, I guess, the Pint on Shrewsbury Street. I don't remember the store number there, but
yeah,
it's definitely a good spot. No shuffleboard though, because obviously they'd have to sanitize everything a little bit. That's
no
kind of
shuffleboard.
a downer
So
for us.
it'll be like the baseball players coming back from their hiatus. We'll have
That's
to see
true. Yeah.
if we still have it.
And I know you're an avid baseball fan. What do you think of the Mets and Cespedes leaving kind of in the middle of the year?
Yeah, I mean, Jonas Cespedes, when he came, he helped us the Mets get to the World Series with a absolutely amazing second half of that year. Um, Obviously he's a power bat from the right side. But the Mets do have a couple other guys that can kind of fill in for that with J.D. Davis and Dom Smith, and it's unfortunate, but if he feels that that's what's best for him and his safety, then they'll just have to plug in somebody else.
What do you think the the Mets need to kind of take them to a better spot in the standings right now?
They need Edwin Diaz to start pitching like he can.
Okay.
Marcus Stroman hopefully will be able to return healthy. They need to stay healthy. You see a lot of injuries here in baseball with the quick return. It wasn't a normal off season, so you see probably an uptick in injuries, which is something that as college athletes coming back, we have to be aware of. How much are we asking them to do after they maybe haven't been working out as much as they normally would? We're gonna make sure that we return to play safely, kind of building up that workload so we can avoid injuries.
Awesome. And what following anything else is now? I guess most of the sports are back. Following any other sports, hockey or anything like that?
A little bit. I'm a big baseball guy,
Yeah.
so like even last night I think as I'm working, even now I have the Twins and the Pirates are on MLB Network. But yesterday the Yankees played a doubleheader, and then there was a late game on MLB Network. So my fiance Lauren was like, "Hey, can we watch something else?" And I'm like, "Well, it's baseball season." it's a shortened season. I got to get it in. So,
And you're kind of a purist. What do you think about the 7 inning doubleheaders?
I was kind of thinking, I don't know, is now like to qualify for a win when they go to 7 innings, do you pitch, if you pitch four, you
Oh,
get the win,
I didn't even think of
and,
that from a
then
statistical
would
standpoint.
5 innings be a quality start?
I mean,
So
maybe.
I don't know how that factors in. I think just like in any other thing that's going on right now, it's a weird year, and there's going to be some changes so that you can be able to go to class or be able to have football practice if it ends up being smaller groups, or anything that is going on in 2020 has to be adjusted. So if it means 7 inning doubleheaders and limited extra innings and whatever else they have going on in baseball, at least they're playing, and at least I get something on in the background when I'm doing work.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, so you didn't. I tried to get you into the purist mode there, and you kind of refuted it. Must be the positive mindset and spin that you've got going on.
Yeah, I guess so. And then I don't know how I feel about the National League designated hitter. I do enjoy the double switches and everything like that, but I get it, and it's you know probably makes it a more entertaining game. Although it is fun to see Jake DeGrom, or when he's healthy, Noah Syndergaard get up to the plate, because they can do some damage too. So it kind of brings a whole nother element into the strategy of having the pitcher having to hit.
Hmm. I'm a big fan of that personally. Not that I know that much about baseball, as you can crush me with the knowledge there, but I know I'm a big fan of just being a fan watching pitchers hit. I know it's
Mhm.
was it Madison Bumgarner who used to hit the home runs pretty frequently?
Oh yeah, yeah. There was talks of him going into the home run derby.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that would be awesome. But great to I guess continue on. What was one thing for obviously I have a biased opinion at WPI as I'm still there and coaching there and whatnot. What's the one thing you want to take from our program and kind of make sure you implement it at Fitchburg?
The culture,
Okay.
the culture that Coach Rob has established at WPI is something that I referred to during recruiting, that I referred to in my first team meeting. Um, that team that we had last year, that was the best team that I've been around, where it didn't matter if somebody was a starter, a backup, a scout team player, somebody was injured. Everybody was working towards winning the football game, and people didn't care who got the credit. They only cared that after the game we got to celebrate that victory together, and that isn't something that's easy to do. We had 35 seniors this past year at WPI, and obviously not all of them got to play as much as they wanted to, but it didn't prevent them from uh, being a cancer in the locker room, or um, you know have them having a negative attitude at practice. Everybody, like I said, had a positive attitude. They were trying to figure out a way, whether it was helping a younger player out who maybe is ahead of them on the depth chart, or watching some extra film and maybe coming up with some tips, or maybe just anything that they could do. Everyone kind of adapted into a role, and it was something pretty special. So if we can replicate that, um, we'll be in great shape.
Do you have like a definition where you use for that or like how you define it detailed for the guys or anything like that, or you just kind of explain it more?
Um, I've one of the hashtags that I've been using is "we won, we won, we won." So I'm not sure if
Okay.
that's what you're trying to extract, but the first "we won" is that the team is bigger than the individual, and that's the first thing that we have to accomplish. That people have to become selfless. The second "we won" is that if we're together and if we play our game, we control our destiny. And then the third "we won" is that if we take care of those first two, that victories are going to follow.
Okay, so yes, you definitely do have a detailed definition of the culture there.
Absolutely.
What I guess one thing is, if we could have learned from you, what's one thing we hopefully did, as you're no longer. Well, I shouldn't say no longer with us. That sounds bad, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Hopefully, you enjoy your time while you're there, and that you have a little bit of fun and you make jokes and you build up the relationships, and yeah, obviously you're working hard to win football games, but being able to be a part of a coaching staff or be a part of a team, um, that's something that you'll remember even more so than the wins and the losses. You remember the people that you went through those experiences with. So, if it ends up being making a weekly a thing for one of the assistant coaches to hang up on their their
The
desk,
cabinets, yeah.
yeah, or kind of just the teasing of assistant coaches who don't know what a peninsula is, or
Yes.
things like that. So definitely, hopefully, you'll keep a sense of humor
Yeah.
around the office, and hopefully that was my legacy.
Okay, so definitely I remember hijinks, I guess I'll have to say, or a comedic relief, maybe. Maybe that's a better way to describe it.
Yeah, yeah. Whatever ends up being, there's always going to be a little bit of humor in the situation, and sometimes that humor can get you through some tough times, um, and then just sticking together and working hard and having fun.
Of course. And my next question would be, what I know you're still in the transition and still going through in the pandemic world, but what would you say to someone who's going to be a head coach for the first time about kind of the process and becoming one, I guess, and at least for the part you're at now, what it's like?
The process. I mean, yeah, you're trying to learn, and you're trying to. Um, yeah, I've had great experiences. So I've worked for, I think, like it's 5 or 6 head coaches that have won conference championships. So Rich Manello and um, Mike DeLong and Mike Whalen, uh, Phil Estes, um, John Perry, and Chris Robertson, and then obviously Brian Surace was a great coach also. And you know, I've learned from all the different places that I've been, and will hopefully be able to implement. Okay, well, this is something that we did at Kings, and this is something that we did at Springfield, and this is something this is the way that we established the culture at WPI, and this was our philosophy at another place, and just trying to um, take those lessons that I've learned over the course of the past 19 years at all the different stops that I've been, and be able to apply that to Fitchburg State. Anybody who is looking to become a head coach, when I took over, my offensive line coach is Matt Salila, and he had been a high school head coach. He's one of my good friends. I've known him for 23 years. We were freshmen in the same on the same floor at Springfield College 23 years ago, and he said, "Hey, as a head coach, you've got to expect the unexpected." So you couldn't have predicted the pandemic or the racial tension in the country, and you just kind of got to kind of have a plan and have a staff that you can rely on to give you great advice. As I feel, my coaching staff has really helped me out through everything that we've had to do the past 5 months. Um, and then also have your mentors, have your Mike DeLongs who you can call up, and your John Perry's, and be able to say, okay, hey, I'm kind of trying to figure out how to handle this situation. What's your advice on this? Have you ever gone through anything like this? So
I got you. So it sounds like you're got a great list of advice clues there, I guess you'd say.
yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
now this is more of being funny and knowing each other, but you're excited to not have to. I mean, who knows when we'll get to do this, but not have to plan for our offense anymore. Is that something that you're happy about?
Oh, come on. I didn't, you think that I knew I never learned the terminology. I just wanted to know what the personnel group was. So,
Okay.
uh, yeah. But the offense that you ran is, whenever I came up with a, hey, you ever think about doing this? And you're like, yeah, we did that against Coast Guard last year. Or yeah, we did that this year against Merchant Marine. So, I think that you run a great offense, and obviously it was multiple, and you're able to do a lot of things. Yeah, I'm glad we don't have to play you next year.
I gotcha. Okay. I guess as we're wrapping up here, one of the things that I'll do, and I don't know if this is a great technique or not, but give the interviewee a chance to ask a question if you got one, and hopefully it's not too bad. And I didn't prep you on that too, so hopefully it's not something I
Okay.
don't want to answer. But
All right. So let's see here. What do we want to ask Matt Kelly? All right. So how about out of all the coffees that we've gotten, what would be your go-to? It's different seasonal flavors at Dunkin' Donuts, different types of drinks. You got hot brew, cold brew. You got iced coffee. You got the macchiatos and all the other different things. What if I said, all right, you get one more coffee for the rest of your life? What's that coffee going to be?
ooh, so if I'm out getting a coffee, it's got to be iced, which is different now. So now being at home more, I've been having hot coffee, which is obviously a difference for me. But I'd have to say it's got to be a flavor because you can't just get regular. But I'm kind of torn now in my head between the peanut butter, like the Girl Scout cookie flavor, or the butter pecan, like the Baskin Robbins ice cream flavor. It would be
Okay,
one of those two, with just skim milk. I'm trying to be healthier,
gotcha.
but definitely no sugars. That the flavor is sweet enough, and hopefully the nicest way that I would have ordered it would be sweet enough as well. But that would kind of be my go-to. One of those flavors with a large ice with skim milk.
Yeah, yeah. When people in the Worcester area think of Matt Kelly, they think sweet enough.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, definitely not. But what I'm gonna flip that around though. What would be yours? I know you're making all
Uh,
your home brew, cold brew, but what would be if you're going to
yeah, I
Dunkin'?
mean, I'm a big fan of the Girl Scout cookies. So the Samoa Girl Scout cookie, but I'd probably go with Thin Mint. The Thin Mint,
Okay.
that's probably my favorite at Dunkin' Donuts. I got it. You said you've been drinking hot coffee here. Now, after I've taught you how to make the cold brew, maybe we'll have to do an instructional video on how that's done.
We might have to, as long as you don't need a give me an instruction video on how to use a mandolin. I think we'll be all set.
Oh, ouch.
I might have gone across the line with that one, but
No, that's fine. And it's not the man. He's not talking about the mandolin, like the instrument. He's talking about the mandolin, the slicer. I took a chunk out of my thumb a couple years ago, making some tasty eggplant parm.
yeah, I hope it was worth it.
Yeah, I wouldn't go that far.
You say that though. So my parents obviously have a nice garden at the house they live at, and I've been able to get some of their vegetables and whatnot. I don't think I've had anything that didn't have fresh vegetables in it for like this whole, I don't know, not whenever they bloom, but like past 2 months at least. It's awesome.
Yeah, and being able to cook your meals is obviously healthy, and that is probably impacting both of our weight losses in addition to the exercising,
Yeah.
obviously. But again, there's positives of the pandemic, being able to cook your own food and know what's going into it, and being able to be healthy with it. And it's going to be interesting to see how like everything returns back. Like all the companies that bought all this office space in New York, maybe they don't need as big of an office space now. Maybe they downsize and and maybe people can do more work from home and or go into work a certain amount of days per week. It could be a positive where people are able to be home more and um, be able to avoid commutes, and it'll be interesting to see how everything what everything looks like 2 years from now, let's say.
Yeah, it'd be even fast forward to a year exactly at this point. What is the world like? Who knows?
Right. Or football recruiting. Like I feel like this video conferencing is now going to be part of the deal. Like I think that's something that isn't going to just go away once we can get back into high schools or doing live evaluations or have people up on campus. I think that it's now going to be okay. I've texted them and set up a FaceTime or a Zoom call or whatever it ends up being. But I think that there's going to be some positives that come out of the pandemic uh, as far as how we can be more efficient.
What would be your, if we're talking about the different kind of face-to-face conversation platforms, what would be your favorite program to use? I know I'm a big Zoom guy because we have it through school, so obviously I use Zoom more than anything else. But Google Hangout, anything like that, what's your go-to?
Yeah, we have Google Hangouts through the school, so that's kind of what I've been setting everything else up on. Our one coach, Coach Lewis, had purchased Zoom, so he
Okay.
could, before he kind of figured out that we had the Google Hangouts right at the beginning of the pandemic. Um, and Coach Casey also, with having the WPI address,
Hmm.
when he first started with us, he ended up doing some Zooms as well. So I think they're very similar, and obviously there's different things that you can do with each program, but the concept is the same. You get a little bit of face-to-face time through the computer, and you're able to show a presentation. So, like I said, it's all deadly.
That's right. It's all deadly. What about, I asked about getting the players tonight. What about the staff? Have you been doing anything to make sure they can understand you and your nuances and whatnot? I mean, your expectations even more so?
Yeah, we do a weekly staff meeting once a week, and just kind of go through, um, recruiting and maybe talk about academically. We have a couple of people that are taking a summer bridge program, and just kind of go through and hit the list. And if they have anything that's kind of on their mind, they let me know, and then we try to come up with a plan to move forward with whatever we're talking about.
Okay. Seems pretty good. Did you do any like coaches happy hour? Is there anything like that?
We have done that. Yeah, we
Oh,
have.
really? I was being
Yeah,
funny. Okay.
yeah, we have had a couple of Friday nights after some of the coaches have to put their kids to bed,
Yeah.
but not too late because we all have responsibilities. But we say,
Yeah.
okay, hey, this Friday at 8:30, let's all get together. Bring, have your wife come, have your girlfriend pop on, so we can all get to know each other outside of just talking football.
Okay.
And then
That's awesome.
occasionally we'll start to talk about football, and like the wives and girlfriends would be like, okay, yeah, we'll reel it back here. We'll get back on to talking about other things. But
Okay. Did you
I've got a
try?
I've got a great staff, and I appreciate all their efforts through this crazy time. I couldn't have done it by myself. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
um,
Did you try any of like I think there's stuff you can play like games and whatnot over virtual.
we haven't done that yet. We did have a like almost like one round of never have I ever during the pandemic. Like never have I ever stayed the whole day in my pajamas.
Oh, okay.
Like things like that. Like
Yeah.
very
PT.
13.
I
You
was
got
gonna say, whoa, I don't know
right.
if I'm allowed to talk about this.
Yeah, so it was. You keep in mind your audience, right? So we had
Yeah.
the wives and the girlfriends. So we were on our best behavior.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't tried this, but if you're able to do like Sporkle, if you're able to play that virtually with somebody where they're looking at the screen.
I have not. I mean, we could go around if you want to.
Yeah, I might have to try that. Maybe not on this recording, but we'll definitely try it, see if it works.
Yeah, we're big Sporkle at WPI, with Coach Whirlinger,
That's
with
right.
and Coach Besaw.
Yep.
Uh, we between that group of people that we had up there, we all have our different areas of expertise.
Yep. Yeah, we did the sports questions, and then obviously the music stuff might have been the more entertaining with reactions and who knows guest helpers, I guess you'd say,
Right.
to help us out.
70s rock was all Zach Whirlinger, and
Yeah.
90s hip hop and R&B was straight up Dan Ross.
Yeah, exactly. He'd come out of nowhere to help us out.
uh,
But yeah, those are definitely the days. It's funny to miss that. I mean, we've been able to be very, very low limit to it, but been able to be in the office and just like being in there kind of by myself and no one in there is kind of like, wow, this is a lot different. But it's the things we used to do that were so made it so enjoyable. And I think that's part of why we were successful and productive too, because we had a great time doing it.
yeah, yeah, it definitely is different having my own office and not being around uh, a couple other guys, and it might focus me a little bit more, but obviously I do miss that personal interaction, um, with the rest of the staff. So when we get back onto campus, I'll make sure that I'm dipping into other people's offices. I know that something else that won't be good for my waistline is our women's lacrosse coach has a little candy jar.
Uh-oh.
I would joke around with him. I had to go in and get my breakfast Snickers.
I got you. I did notice that now it should be empty now, but like My candy jar that I used to have on my desk has been empty for a while. I wonder who was the rule was whoever's the last one to grab one has to refill it. I don't
Well,
know
I feel like I probably owe you 3 bags of candy there.
I gotcha. Obviously, I'm not doing that now in the pandemic world anyway, but
Yeah,
something to even though I guess they're individually wrapped. I don't know. I just
yeah.
whatever
You
limits
just gotta wipe
contact
down the touch point. You gotta wipe down
the jar open
the
for
silver
closing.
lid.
Okay,
Yeah,
I gotcha. I'll make sure I wipe down that regularly, I guess.
that's right. 60% alcohol.
Yep. Okay. Oh, look at that. Definitely up to the training materials.
Right.
What would be so then what did you do? You're more of a social butterfly for the time you were before the pandemic and stayed home and not allowed in the office. Did you make sure you were bumping around and seeing different people on campus, or were you just sitting there enjoying the view out a window, which you're not used to either? But
Yeah, the window is similar to the one that was in our office. It doesn't open. It's kind of like,
oh, okay.
yeah, it's just kind of there. But yeah, I would stick my head out and talk to the women's lacrosse coach, or if I was going down the street to grab a coffee, I would ask our administrative assistant or the athletic director or the sports information director.
Okay.
Anybody need anything? I'm headed out. So I have enjoyed getting to know people on the staff, the full-time staff at Fitchburg State, and I'm looking to interacting more with the other head coaches and other assistant coaches. Since, like I said, I was only really up there a month before
Right.
things got shut down.
Although you said walking to a coffee, how far away was it? That might be good for the waistline too.
It's like a quarter of a mile.
Oh,
Like
not too
if you
bad.
come into Fitchburg, you kind of you're driving in, you kind of get to the train station. You make a left. There's a Dunkin' Donuts, a CVS, the coffee house. Sorry, a firehouse, and
Okay.
then the athletic center.
I got you. So it's still a Dunkin' Donuts too, so you can make sure you use your app and get your points.
That's
I know
right.
you're a big app guy when it came to that.
Oh yeah, you got to get the rewards.
Did you
It's
have
out there
the?
for you.
Yeah, it's funny. It's you and my mom who would always tell me the different deals that are on the app.
She's a smart woman.
Yeah, well, it definitely is if I come from her. So,
Yeah.
but this is awesome. It's great to catch up with you and glad to hear you're obviously doing well with a positive mindset and can't wait to see the pictures of the proof of the ceremony coming up and congratulations to you on that. I
Thank
was
you.
gonna be funny and be like, oh, where's my invite? But if it's that close, I wouldn't want to say anything anyway. But
Yeah, like I said, it's very small. Like parents, brothers, sisters, and maybe a couple of aunts and uncles. So I think it's less than 20 people total.
that makes sense. But that's the people who really matter at the end of the day, which is probably awesome at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, friends and extended family matter too, but
Yeah.
we'll have some time to have some fun with that. We're stretching it out. We're just fortunately for me, the one ceremony is on the 16th,
Yeah.
and then a couple months later it's May 16th that we're doing the reception. So
Oh, okay.
I just got to remember one day in 2 different months.
Yeah, what's right. You got to remember both.
Right.
I would be awful. I would plug it in my phone and never ever worry about it that way. It would always remind me.
Yeah, I'll have to do that. Absolutely. And then the other thing is, with us getting married August 16th, usually we're going to be in football. So the
Oh,
celebration
celebrating
of
that later on.
anniversaries will be before the season starts. It'll be like the last weekend. Like a weekend getaway. Let's celebrate.
That might be perfect as kind of like your last relaxation before getting into everything that normally happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully that goes well and I remember.
Yeah, for sure. Hope I didn't burst any bubbles or she
Because
can hear this, but
yeah, well, we've had the discussion. I said, okay, just so you know, the celebration of our anniversary will be before football season, because if we're in preseason, I got somewhere I have to be, practice and team meeting probably.
yeah, most likely. Well, you might have to bring her in and be a celebration that way, and she can meet all the guys at that point or meet the
Who
team.
knows? Maybe we make some gluten-free cookies for everybody on the team. We increase the celebration
There you
by
go. Maybe the more the merrier. Kind of right up your alley, actually.
yeah.
But great, and I guess keep grinding and being productive the rest of the time here, and hopefully we get to do stuff in the fall as football coaches, and we'll kind of see whatever the guidelines are. But obviously, we'll stay as safe and healthy as we possibly can for us and the
Yeah,
kids.
absolutely. Got to stay safe and healthy, and looking forward to getting back up there to Massachusetts, and we'll have to socially distant get together with our mask on somewhere at some point.
Yeah, for sure. Can't wait.
All right, take care, Matt.
All right, thanks.